Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Happy May. I am so happy that it is May. This is one of my favorite months of the year. Things are finally starting to warm up here. The wind is finally starting to go away. I just love this time of year. And today we're going to be talking about my monthly favorites, but I thought we would do this in a little bit of a different format. We're going to do a top 5, bottom 5 for my April favorites. I like this style of video. I know it's been going around for quite a while. I'm not 100% sure who the originator of this style of video was. I think it might be Jamie Page. I've seen her doing these for a while. I've also seen them from Samantha March, from Jessica Braun, several other YouTubers. But I thought it would be a fun way to kind of switch things up, but also go into the things that I liked this month, but I did have some things that didn't quite work for me. Some of those being new products and some of them actually being old products that I used to like that I've kind of changed my mind or my thoughts on. We will get into it all, but before we do, I want to send a special welcome to any new visitors to my channel. Welcome. I hope that you enjoy this video. Please be sure to give it a thumbs up if you do. That goes for all of you, by the way. And of course, if you are not yet subscribed, make sure that you hit that subscribe button before you leave. With that said, let's get to it. All right, let's get into it. We're going to start with my top 5, and we're going to do this in a ranking style. So 5 being my least favorite of my favorites, and number 1 being my number 1 favorite of my top 5 favorites. Probably didn't need to explain that. I'm sure you guys know how this goes. But kicking it off with number 5, I'm going to go with the Beauty Blender Bounce Foundation. This has been a surprise to me. I know I've mentioned this a few times recently since I tried this out for the first time this last month, but I have been very impressed with this foundation. I really like it. It seems to wear really well on my skin. I like the finish of it. It has good coverage, but it's not too heavy or too cakey. The shade match happens to match me perfectly right now. I've been reaching for this foundation more than any other foundation. I do on occasion like to mix it with my L'Oreal Infallible. This is just kind of out of habit. I love to mix this foundation into other foundations because I find that it helps with the wear time, but I like this on its own as well. It's just a really good all-around foundation. I don't know why I was resistant to trying this foundation out. I mean, I love a good dewy foundation. I love a good BB cream or a CC cream, something more lightweight. And this is advertised as more of a long-wearing full coverage foundation. So I'm assuming that's kind of why I steered clear of it for so long. But I've been very impressed with this. Very happy with it. Happy to have it in my collection. Overall, I think it's just a good solid foundation that I think a lot of different people would like if you're looking for something that gives you a little bit more coverage, which I'll be honest, you guys, I've got a lot of stuff to cover. I've been having a heck of a time with these dark spots and acne marks and occasional breakouts that just don't seem to heal, and that has really been helping me out this last month. Let's move on to number 4 in my top 5. I'm going to go with the Ofra Cool as a Cucumber Primer. I got a trial size of this about 2 months ago, I think, and I really fell in love with that trial. It's kind of funny because in the video where I tried that little sample, I actually have it here. I think it's pretty much gone. I just haven't thrown it away yet. But in that video where I tried out the sample of the Ofra primer, I mentioned that I'm not usually a fan of the scent of cucumber, so I had a feeling I probably wouldn't like this, at least like the smell of it. And I've got to say, you guys, I've actually come to love the smell of this, which is really funny. I always thought that I didn't like the smell of cucumbers, kind of steered clear from cucumber scented products for years and years thinking that I wouldn't like them, but maybe my tastes have changed as they do in many other things. I love the fresh scent of this. It has a really nice, clean, slightly cucumber scent that's just really pleasant, but it's not the scent that I love the most about this primer. I don't know why I keep showing you the envelope rather than the full-size product. This is just a really good, solid, hydrating primer. If you like something that's more of like an additional moisturizer to kind of prep your skin and soften it up for your foundation, this is just a really nice one. I really enjoy it. I picked up this full size just a couple of weeks ago, and when I went to pick it up, it was on sale. I'm not sure if it's currently on sale. I will link it down below. You can go and check. But I've been very happy with this, and if you guys know me, you'll know that I'm not often one to fall in love with primers. They don't often make it into favorites videos because it's pretty rare for a primer to really stand out or do something special for my skin. I'm not going to go so far as to say this has any magical qualities or properties to it. It doesn't blur anything out or diminish pores or anything like that. It's just basically a good hydrating primer to prep my skin for a foundation, and I just enjoy using it. So had to include it in my top 5. Coming in at number 3 in my top 5 is the COSRX concealer. I've only had this for about a week and a half, but I have been using it almost every day for the last week and a half, and I have to tell you guys, this has really knocked my socks off. If you are someone that's looking for a very, very hydrating concealer that doesn't settle into your under eyes, this seems to be the product for that purpose. It definitely is for me. I like this especially for my under eye area. I mean, it works on the rest of my face as well, but it's kind of magical for my under eyes. It gives me the perfect amount of coverage. So it is pretty high coverage, but it's not thick. It's not cakey. It's very nice and moisturizing and hydrating without being greasy at all. It does not settle into the fine lines under my eyes. That is very rare for a hydrating concealer not to settle in my under eyes, and this is the perfect concealer for the under eye area, especially if you have a lot of crow's feet, a lot of fine lines, which I most definitely do. I've been super impressed with this. It is pricey. You don't get a ton of product in here. It's not bad. It has 0.2 ounces. I generally like to find a little bit more value in my high-end concealers. Something like the Too Faced Born This Way or even the Dior concealer has quite a bit of value in it. Or the Tarte Ultra Creamy. All of those are great concealers. And I would say as general purpose concealers, like for the entire face, including the under eyes, those are good general purpose concealers. But if you have very troublesome under eyes, this one does something very special for my delicate under eye area. And that's what has so impressed me about this month. This one is in the shade 04. It is a little bit dark for me, so I have to mix it in with a tiny bit of something lighter to get it to work in my under eye area. But I'm talking like I use this white mix-in to lighten it up, and it really doesn't do anything to the formula because I've tried it both ways and it doesn't seem to make a difference. But I do plan to pick up a lighter shade of this one just so it works a little bit better all year long. This is definitely one that I would be willing to spend the money on to get the shade match just right, because I do think this stuff is just, it's special. It is a special concealer. All right, coming in at number 2, I have a highlighter. I have got to go with the MAC Double Gleam highlighter. I have only had this for about four and a half weeks, maybe 5 weeks now. Can you guys see the dent in this thing already? I mean, maybe it's less of a dent, more of just a, you know, the spray that they sometimes put on the top of the product is pretty much worn off in the middle. This looks very used and abused because I have used this almost every single day for the last 4 weeks or so. This highlighter is a really interesting formula. It's very dry. If you've ever used a baked highlighter, they kind of have that more dry feel to them. This is similar to that. It feels very lightweight. It's very sheer, but it's very intense at the same time. It's not super heavy. Sometimes a highlighter that's too soft, when you put it on, even if you like a bit of intensity, it can interfere with the texture of your skin or emphasize texture that you might have on your skin, whether that be like crow's feet up here or some pores in the center of your cheeks. I find that this gives me a really intense highlight without emphasizing those things too severely. I actually feel that way about the Revlon Skin Lights highlighter, and this reminds me a little bit of that one, other than the shade's a little bit different. This is just a traditional champagne. It's a really beautiful champagne that I think would work on anyone that likes something very intense. I know that looks really insane, but it does sheer out really nicely and look natural. It is so pretty. I've been so impressed with this highlighter and so happy to have it, not to mention the fact that I found this at Marshall's for like $16 instead of $36. All right, we are down to my number 1 favorite. This was easy. I knew this was going to be my very favorite thing of the month when I was planning for this video. Hold on, there are a lot of them. I officially now have every single one that is available, and I am talking about the Wet n Wild Color Icon eyeshadows. These are the new eyeshadows that they came out with. These have been out for a little while. I want to say 3 or 4, maybe 5 months. I could be even wrong about that, maybe even longer. They actually didn't interest me all that much to begin with. I don't know why. I might have just assumed that these were basically updated packaging on some of the palettes that they seem to like update the packaging over and over again, but they're really the same palettes that they keep releasing. These are different. There are a couple crossovers or a couple that are similar to the ones they used to have, but there are actually a lot of new color stories in this range. I have officially tried every single one of these now, and every single one has completely blown my mind. They are spectacular. I kind of feel like I might be alone on an island. I haven't heard a lot of people talking about these, at least not as highly and enthusiastically as I seem to be about them, but I'm just so impressed with these. I'm really impressed with what Wet n Wild has done in branching out in some of the formulas they tried out in these, but I feel like they're pretty solid across the board. Great mattes in here, great shimmers in a variety of different shimmer formulas, and every one of these color stories gives you enough that you would need to create not just one complete look, but several or at least a couple complete looks, and I feel that way with the small palettes and the large palettes. I'll give you guys a little spoiler. Probably the next video that I will be uploading, I actually filmed this video before I filmed this favorites video earlier in the week. I just haven't gotten around to editing it yet, and I wanted to get my favorites up first, but I did film a video swatching and talking about all of these palettes, the bigger ones and the smaller ones, as well as using one of the newer ones that I had picked out. And since that video, I have picked up 2 more, so I believe I now have the complete range, both in the 5-pan palettes and the 10-pan palettes. Today I have on this brand new one. This is the Heart and Soul palette. It's the one that's more of the warm kind of pinks and berries. It is absolutely stunning. If you're into peaches and pinks, you will love this one. Great range from light to dark, really great finishes in here. This is one of the ones that is not featured in the video that will be coming up very soon. But holy moly, you guys, I just am so impressed with these. I was really excited about the e.l.f. palettes when they came out. I think that was last spring. And I know I mentioned this in the video where I tried these out, but I feel even more strongly about this now. These really, for me, trump those palettes easily. I think the formulas are better, they're easier to work with, they give you one more shade, which gives them a lot more versatility. I feel like some of the color stories are a little bit better. I do think they're all pretty neutral, so if you want something very bold and vivid and colorful, you're not going to get a lot of vivid color in here, but there definitely is some color and there's a lot of intensity. Some of these mattes and shimmers are so beautiful. I can't wait to show you guys that video where I swatch them all. You'll be able to see for yourself and sense my enthusiasm. Hopefully it will help you kind of decide which ones, if you're interested in picking up one. I mean, they're pretty affordable. You could get a couple, but I don't think you could go wrong with any of them. I've been super impressed. And as one more sneak peek, I'm planning to do a video very soon where I'm going to be putting these very affordable palettes, which did I mention the price? These are $2.98, these are $4.98, or $3.99 and $5.99, depending on if you get them at like a Walmart or Target, or if you get them at the Wet n Wild website or at Walgreens. But I'm going to be testing out these affordable palettes to a new palette that I just got in that is very pricey. I cannot wait to do that video and share it with you guys. We're going to see if these can hold a candle to that very expensive palette that we're going to be featuring very soon. So keep an eye out for that video as well. That should be an interesting one. But yeah, the Wet n Wild palettes, definitely my #1 favorite. The thing that has impressed me the very most. And I've tried a lot of eyeshadow palettes this month, but as someone that loves not just quality, but value, I just don't know that these can be beat. I think they are incredible. That is it for my top 5. Let's move into the bottom 5. So this one, I'm gonna kind of go like if the scale, the middle is the 5, the 1s are on the extreme. So my number 5 is I like a little bit more than my number 1. It was a little confusing thinking through this. I hope I got the scale right. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. But at the number 5 spot, so this is the one that I dislike the least, but I'm going to go with the LA Girl Shady Slim Brow Pencil. Hear me out really quickly. The only reason this is coming in my bottom 5 is because of the shade of this specific brow pencil. I actually love the spoolie, love the formula of this. The one I have is in the shade Taupe, and honestly it is exactly the same color as the lid right here. It's a very warm, mustardy, light brown, and there's not a lot of pet peeves or things that I can't get to work for me, but a warm or yellowy or orangey brow pencil is one of them. I just will not tolerate a warm brow pencil. It just does not look good in my brows. I have very ashy colored brows, and like the base color of my hair is a very ashy gray, not to mention I've got some gray hair up there. So any brow pencil that is too warm just does not work for me, and this one is very warm. It gives me this like halo of yellow around my brows that just does not look good on my specific brow color. Now I do believe they have more colors of this one. I think they have a blonde or an ash brown. That's probably the one that I would try the next time I get one. I think I just went with the wrong shade. It's always hard to tell when you're looking at brow pencils online. You never can tell if the lid color is going to be accurate or if the little swatches they do on the white piece of paper that probably aren't even real swatches. You never know if those are accurate. So I went with this one, made the wrong decision. It just doesn't quite work for me, but I am interested in picking up a new shade because I do think the formula, the spoolie, overall, this is a great brow pencil. This shade just was a no. Coming in at number 4 in my bottom 5 is a brush. And I'm a little nervous to talk about this brush. I went back to using some of my old brushes this last month because I'd washed my rougher brushes and I wanted them to stay clean and look pretty on my desk for a while. So I dipped back into some of my old favorite brushes and the Morphe M504. I know probably 75% of you that have been following me for a while have bought this brush on my recommendation. I still think this is a great performing brush, but after being very spoiled and using the nicer, rougher brushes, this brush feels so scratchy to my eyes. I don't know how I didn't notice that to begin with. Perhaps my eyelids have just become completely coddled and babied over the last year or so that I've kind of put this to the side. But now I've used it a few times this month and just thought to myself, wow, this just is so scratchy and it makes my eyes water, and how did I survive using this for so long and not know what I was missing? I think that's it. I didn't know what I was missing. I will say, if you do still have this brush, this performs great. It's going to give you a great end result. But if you have very sensitive eyes and maybe you bought this and thought, what the heck, Mandy, this brush is so scratchy and miserable, I am sorry. I didn't recognize it until I had a taste of the good stuff. I do think there are other brushes out there that are a little bit softer than this. For example, the Alter Ego brushes are really good. They're really soft. I feel like this one still blends a little bit better, but these do blend well, and if you have sensitive eyes, they're definitely a lot softer. I also feel that way about the Nabla brushes, although if we're talking about price, I don't know that the Nabla brushes are cheap, and if you're gonna spend $15 to $20 on a brush, go for the rougher brushes, because I think they are totally worth the investment. But I wanted to mention it today because that really surprised me that the difference was that noticeable to me. Thankfully, it's a very cheap brush. I think it's like $5.99 at Ulta, and it does work well, but if you are looking for something softer, there are definitely softer brushes out there that I would recommend. If you don't mind investing, and honestly, in just one brush from Rephr, I would go with the Rephr number 16 or the Rephr number 1. I believe both of these brushes cost about $24. I think that is so worth the investment. I have a feeling these are gonna last me for like 10 years, and they are so incredibly soft. It is, honestly, I've said this several times, it's like blending your eyeshadow out with a baby bunny, which I know sounds terrible, but I just can't think of any other way. I've only ever felt this softness from petting a baby bunny. I'm sorry, Morphe M504. You did me well for many years, but I have to say, you have officially been replaced for me. All right, let's move into another old favorite that I've changed my mind on. And this I actually featured in a recent video, and I've used it a few more times since and discovered that, my tastes must have just changed. It is the Bite Beauty lipstick in the shade Honeycomb. So I just posted a video using this lipstick, and in that video you guys will notice how I initially go into putting this on like, this is one of my very favorite lipsticks in the whole world, and then I put it on and I'm like, it doesn't look good on me anymore. What happened? I honestly think that my tastes have just changed over the last year and a half since I first initially fell in love with this lipstick. I much more prefer now something that has a little bit more pink in it, and I just don't think the slightly gray neutral tones look all that good on me, and that's kind of what this lipstick is. It's just a little bit too gray toned for me. Felt like I looked kind of dead when I first put this on, and you'll see if you saw that video how I was trying to like fix it by putting some pink liner, and then I put some pink lip gloss on top, and then I put some pink lipstick on top. That was kind of shocking to me because for so long this was like my all-time favorite shade of lipstick ever. I thought it was my perfect nude, but that should just go to show you people's makeup preferences change. Perhaps that has something to do with just trends changing or me getting a little bit older. Maybe ashy tones bring out the shadowing in the lines of my face. I'm not quite sure what it is, but I just was very surprised that this is no longer a favorite of mine, which is so unfortunate because I just think the Bite Beauty lipstick formula is one of the best that I've ever tried. All right, we're getting closer to the really bad stuff, and I actually feel kind of bad putting this one this low, but the biggest reason for this is because of the retail price tag. I'm going with the Kiko Milano Smart Eyes and Cheek palette. I did get this at a Marshall's for $3.99, which this isn't bad for a $3.99 price tag. And actually I would say it's even better than a $3.99 price tag. There are a couple of shades in here that I think are really great. This kind of purpley taupe shimmer in the middle is beautiful. I felt like this one was a little bit sheer, and the mattes were just so-so. I didn't really love the color story, and the retail price on this thing is $17.99. I've only used it one or two more times since the first time I tried it out in that video, and I have just generally come to the conclusion that I'm just not very excited about this palette, not super impressed with it. So if you ever find this somewhere, or maybe we're browsing their website and wondering if you should spend $17.99 on this palette, I will say no. I don't think it's quite worth it. It's not bad, but it's just, it wasn't a standout for me. I'm pretty sure this will wander to the very back of my bin for a year, maybe more, and then it will make it into a declutter. Just not a palette I foresee me getting a lot of use out of, so yeah, had to put it at number 2. We are down to my number 1 bottom product, aka my least favorite thing that I tried out this month. I'm gonna go with the Perricone MD No Makeup Foundation. This is another product that I found at Marshall's. It was only like $10.99, and this is normally, if you buy this at Sephora, a $40 to $60 foundation. I wanna say it's closer to like $60. I've only tried this a few times. I've tried it twice on its own. Both times I kind of put it on my skin and was sort of baffled in so many ways about this foundation. It's so interesting. I don't know how to say this in a way that's not too negative other than just saying it just did not work for my skin. It feels kind of thick and heavy as you're putting it on, and then it sort of feels like it kind of sets, like it's not very hydrating, but then it doesn't give me any coverage at all. It's almost like everything underneath just peeks right through, and I don't know what happened to it, but yet I can kind of feel it on my skin. It makes it feel a little bit tight. It's just a really strange foundation. I still feel tempted to find a way to make this work for me, and there's been a couple times like, oh, I should try out that Perricone foundation again, and then I'm like, I don't want to. Like, I don't want to have a bad makeup day. And the couple of times that I've used this, I've ended up having a bad foundation day. It does have a really beautiful bottle. It comes with this pump that you can attach to the bottle. So it makes me very sad. I was hoping that I would like this. I mean, a foundation that says no makeup foundation, doesn't that just have this like ring that makes you feel like if you're someone that likes more natural makeup, you would automatically love it? But maybe I read into that wrong. Maybe by no makeup foundation, it literally, when you put it on your face and it doesn't look like you have makeup on, which kind of defeats the purpose of putting makeup on in the first place, in my mind. I know there's people out there that love this. I read the reviews on this on Sephora's website. There were a handful of people that said they really did not like it and they think the formula of this changed. But there were a lot of people that also said this was their go-to favorite foundation in the world that they've been buying for years and years. Maybe I just got a bad batch. Maybe I should try and apply it in a different way. I've tried it with my fingers and with a sponge. I haven't yet tried it with a brush. Maybe that's the secret. If something does change, I will let you guys know. But from what I have tried so far, this was just a disappointment for me this last month. I was hopeful, but it really let me down. I'm sorry to say. Sorry, Paragon. All right, you guys, that is it for my top 5, bottom 5. I did want to insert a bonus item here for you guys because it's not necessarily a makeup product, but I picked up this storage container from Ulta this last month, and I am so impressed with it, so excited about it. It's basically a storage unit that's about 12 inches wide by 24 inches high. I will insert a little video clip of it for you guys right here so you can see what I'm talking about. So I saw this on the Ulta website, and I thought this would be the perfect item to use for my Shop My Stashes, which if you have seen those over the last couple of years, you'll know that I just kind of throw all the stuff that I pick into this big wide open bin. It's kind of a disaster. If you have any sort of like OCD when it comes to organization, those videos probably give you quite a bit of anxiety. Hopefully this thing will help. It definitely makes me feel better. I love seeing my Shop My Stash items organized. I love this as a great way to rotate my makeup in and out of my collection to keep it nice and organized. I can see it. It's right on top of my desk. It saves some space. And this thing was only $39, which I think is a great deal. It's definitely going to come in handy. I'm very excited to use this in my future Shop My Stashes. And as we get ready to finish off this room and I have to kind of relocate to somewhere else, I think this is going to be the perfect thing to have sitting on my desk as I am temporarily removed from my official setup here. So I had to mention it because I've been super excited about it. If you're looking for a storage / organization unit to sit on top of your counter or your vanity wherever you do your makeup that's not too big, I feel like this is the perfect item for that, and I am super excited about it. All right, you guys, that is it for my April favorites. My voice is ready to tap out, so I better get this video finished up. Thank you guys so much for stopping by today. I hope that you enjoyed this style of favorites video. Let me know if you guys like this format. I thought it was kind of fun to go through and think about the things that I tried out that didn't work for me. I don't often think about the negative things very often. Like, I just get excited about the things that I love. But for example, like the Bite Beauty lipstick, I probably never would have told you guys that my thoughts on this changed. So maybe this is a good format or opportunity for me to share those kind of things with you guys. So let me know down below. Do you like this style? Should we go back to the old? Either way, I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I would love to know what you guys have been loving this last month. Let me know if there's anything new or old that you've been excited about. Leave that down in the comments below. Thank you guys again. Hope that you are doing well, and I will see all of you in my next video. Bye. By the way, forgive my voice. I am getting over a cold. I know it sounds a little bit deep and raspy. And as someone that already has kind of a deep and raspy voice, oh boy. Oh boy, I should say. Did you know that I actually have a better singing voice as a mock male voice than like my regular female voice? Honestly, it's a skill that I have. You should hear my David Bowie impression. It is spot on.
Bye.
Say hi, everyone. I got my PJs on and stickers all over my shirt. Cutie. Oh. Best hugger ever. Yes, love your hugs.